Hey kids, Flexing Teacher Weber here. I hope you're having a good day. We have been working on decimal numbers, and decimal numbers, the place value of those numbers, and writing those numbers in different forms. Today what we did in class is we took numbers that were in expanded form and wrote them in standard form. You see a number like this, it looks very complicated, but when you break it down into its parts like this, if we go slowly, it's not too bad. All this means is you take the 3 represents the amount, and the second number, the 10, represents the place value. So 3 in the 10's place value, plus 2 in the 1's place value, plus 6 in the 10th's place value, plus 8 in the 100th's place value, plus 5 in the 1000th's place value, and plus 1 in the 10,000th's place value. So if we were to use our place value chart to do this, we would have 3 groups of 10. That's the 3 times 10. We would have 2 groups of 1. We would have our decimal. We have 6 groups in the 10th spot. We have 8 in the 100th spot. We have 5 in the 1000th spot. And we have 1 in the 10,000th spot. And there's our decimal number. And we would say that as 32 and 6,851 10,000ths. All right, let's do another one. So got to be careful. Sometimes we won't have a value for every place value, and of course then we have to use 0 placeholders. So in this one, we have 6 in the 1 spot. Decimal. We have an 8 in the 100th spot. Oh, look at that. I'm putting it in the wrong spot on the place value chart. So I'll go backwards here. So we have a 6 in the 1's spot. So there's my 1 spot. Got to be careful about that. Then we have our decimal. Then we have an 8 in the 100th spot. So 8 in the 100ths. Then we have a 3 in the 10,000th spot, which means we need a 0 placeholder in the 10ths and a 0 placeholder in the 1000ths. And we would say that this number is 6 and 803 10,000ths. Okay, so taking a number that's in parts and combining it together to put it in what we call standard form. Let's look at another one. 3 times 100 plus 5 times 1 plus 6 times 1,000. Well, 3 in the 100th spot. 3 hundreds. 5 in the 1 spot. 5 ones. And 6 in the 1000th spot. So 6 in the 1000ths. Don't forget my decimal, and I'm going to need some 0 placeholders there, and there, and there. And there's my number, 305 and 6,000ths. Let's look at another one. Now, what we started to do here is we started to just take the fraction form of the number and write it in standard form. So 231 thousandths. Well, the 3 zeros, thousandths, indicates we're going to have a decimal up to the thousandths spot. So we're going to have 3 decimal spots. And the digits on top of the fraction indicate the values that will go in those decimal spots. So we're going to have 2 tenths, 3 hundredths, 1 thousandths. Decimal, of course, and 0 in the 1 spot. So we would say this is 231 thousandths. Or we could say 0 and 231 thousandths. Let's look at another one. Okay, this number is 5 out of 1,000. The 3 zeros indicate that we're going to have 3 decimal spots up to the thousandths, right? The tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths. We have to have 5 thousandths. So if I go to my place value chart, we have to have 5 thousandths. And that means we'll have 0 placeholders here for our 3 decimal spots. And there's our decimal number. We would say that number as 0 and 5 thousandths. 0 and 5 in the thousandth spot. And in grade 6, we have to go all the way up to the 10,000th. So in this one, this fraction is 1,234 out of 10,000. There's 4 zeros in 10,000, which means our decimal number will have to have 4 place values. It'll have to have the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths, the 10,000ths. These are the digits that will go in them. So we'll have 1 in the tenths, 2 in the hundredths, 3 in the thousandths, 4 in the 10,000ths. Decimal, and of course, 0 placeholder. So we would say this number as 0 and 1,234 10,000ths. Always say the place value of the last digit when we're talking about decimals. Now let's look at one last question. I think this is the last one. 74 out of 10,000. So 10,000, 4 zeros, indicates we need to have 4 decimal spots. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, right? 10,000th, 10,000ths. That's what our decimal has to go up to. We need to have 74 10,000ths. So if I go to my chart, I need to have 74 10,000ths, which means I'll have to 0 placeholder in the hundredths and 1 in the tenths, a decimal, and a 0 in front. And we would say 0 and 74 10,000ths. Yeah, that's all we did today in class. We took numbers that were in expanded form and put them into standard form, and we took numbers that were in fractional form and put them in their standard decimal form. That should help with the assignment today. We had a small assignment in class that many kids did finish, but if they didn't finish, it's homework. That's all for now. Flexing Teacher Weber, out.